Howdy folks, Dreadshells here, and welcome back to World of Tanks. I hope all of you guys are doing well. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different for a video. A few weeks ago there was an event going on the North American and EU servers, now that I think about it, called the Top Tankers event. And I'm sure that a decent number of you are already aware of what this event was about. But for those of you who may not have been playing during the time frame of this event, I'm going to cover the parameters of this event briefly, and it's a good refresher for the rest of us as the event has been over for several weeks. So the event lasted for a full month from October 27th to November 28th, and what the competition was about is you got to play in any particular tank that you liked, tier 6 or higher. And what you were trying to do is get the highest average base XP over the series of 5 games, and whatever that score was, it would be put onto a score sheet and compared to other tankers' scores. For instance, here we're looking at the T21, and we can see here that the top player got an average of 1389 base XP over the series of 5 games, which is an excellent score. And the next closest guy has a little over 1,000 with 1,044, and so on and so on. So if you think that your initial performance of your first 5 battles you could have improved on, then you could keep playing. And if you were able to get a better series of 5 games and have maybe a really good game in that series of 5 games in particular to bring up the average, then your overall average would increase, of course. There were some vehicles that were excluded from this event. You weren't able to play artillery, which I think is a really good decision on Wargaming's part. If they hadn't have done that, I think that the event would see tons of artillery spam with 3 or 4 artillery on each team every single game, which would have made a lot of people's gaming experience really miserable during that event, which lasted for a whole month. But yeah, like I said, the other limiting parameter was you had to play tier 6 vehicles or higher, so tier 6 to tier 10. But other than that, excluding a few rare vehicles over here, you could play any tank that you wanted. Tank destroyers, scouts, or light tanks, mediums, and heavies. And I think that this has been one of the best competition events that Wargaming has done in a while. And looking at the rewards that Wargaming were giving out during this event, some really good rewards to shoot for. For tier 10, if you were able to get first place in your particular tier 10 vehicle, for instance like a Gorilla 15, a Bat Chat, an E100, and so forth, you were able to win a Type 59. Also, for the top 3, you were able to win a M46 Patton KR. I'm not sure if that is in addition, like if you were in first place, you got a Type 59 and a Patton KR. If any of you guys know out there of anyone who did get first place in a tier 10 vehicle, let me know. That would have been a super good prize, being able to win both of these tanks if you got first in a tier 10 vehicle. Tier 9 vehicles, if you got in the top 3, you were able to win a M46 Patton KR. Tier 8 vehicles, a Panzer 58 Mutz, which in my opinion I think is actually a better tank than the Patton KR. Even with them buffing the armor of the Patton KR, which I think has made the tank a little bit better, I still think that the Mutz is a better tank. Tier 7 vehicles, Cromwell B, and tier 6 vehicles, KV-220. Now you got to remember that they were giving out these prizes for every single tier 10, tier 9, tier 8, tier 7, and tier 6 vehicles, with a few exceptions of some rare premiums. So they were giving out a ton of prize tanks over, because there is a lot of tanks in World of Tanks. I don't remember how many is off the top of my head, like 350, 400, something like that. I've never actually looked up how many tanks are in World of Tanks. So yeah, there was a ton of tanks given out. Also, I think Wargaming did a really good job of avoiding the have and the have-not situation. So if you weren't able to get into the top 3 in any particular tank, you still had rewards to shoot for, and some really good rewards to shoot for with personal reserves. The personal reserve packages that they were giving away for the top 10 were a little bit better than the top 100. You got a few more, and I think that the duration and percentages were better in the top 10, but they were giving out a ton of personal reserves as well. So shooting for trying to get into the top 100 for a particular tank was a reasonable goal to shoot for, I think, for a lot of people. So I think that this has been one of the better overall event competitions that Wargaming have done in quite a while, and personally it got me to play a lot more variety of tanks than I normally would, to try and win as many reserves and potentially prize tanks as I could. And it also got me playing more games in general. So I'm sure that some of you are curious about what I was able to win during the Top Tankers event on the North American server. Well, first of all, I was able to win a decent amount of personal reserves. Like I said before, Wargaming were giving out really nice personal reserve packages, and I was able to place in the top 10 and top 100 in several tanks. I mostly played scout tanks during this event, although I did play a few tank destroyers and some mediums to try and win some more personal reserves. I think I played the SU-101 and the E-25. And I think I was able to win over 200 personal reserves, so that will definitely last me a while. The credit boosts, the XP bonuses, and the crew XP bonuses will definitely help out. I'll probably use a lot of them in my grind on the Swedish line, as I don't really have a good Swedish crew. I'm actually trying to grind up to the Leo, the tier 7 Swedish medium, as that tank looks really interesting and looks like it kind of fits my playstyle of mobility and assassination and flanking. I played some of the Leo on the test server, and I really liked what I saw there, although they did nerf it since the test server. They nerfed its horsepower somewhat, I believe. But yeah, I will definitely be using some of those personal reserves that I won for that. Also, I was able to win something else. I was able to win the Cromwell B, the Tier 6 Premium British Medium Tank, for placing first in the LTTB, the Tier 7 Russian Scout. And the funny thing about me winning the Cromwell B in this Top Tankers event is, as you guys may know already, when you win a premium tank in a contest in World of Tanks, either in a mission or an on-track event or something like that, if you already owned the premium tank beforehand, you don't get the gold value of the tank when you win it. You only get the credit value of the tank. And Wargaming changed that to that way a while back, where you were no longer able to win gold. But I did not own the Cromwell B prior to this event, and as you guys can see from me having a little bit of extra gold here on my account, is not only did I win the Cromwell B once, but I won it 3 times. I also placed first in the AMX 1357 Grand Finals and the AMX 1375, the other Tier 7 French Scout. And since I hadn't owned the Cromwell B beforehand, I was able to get the gold value for those other 2 Cromwell Bs, which is really, really nice. I usually don't have a whole lot of gold on my account most of the time. And what I will probably spend this gold on is free XP. I won't do it now. I probably will wait until there's a XP conversion deal going on. Wargaming sometimes does a conversion ratio deal of 1 gold to 35 free XP, where it's normally 1 gold to 25 free XP, and that way I can maximize the value of the gold. And I might apply it to getting another tier 10, or I might apply it to pushing my way up the tech line of the Swedish line and getting to the higher tiers in that new tech tree more quickly. I've been wanting to try out playing the Leo, the tier 7 Swedish medium, as it looks really interesting. I did play it on the test server actually, and it looks like it fits my playstyle a lot. It has really good mobility and has a decent punchy gun, although the reload is quite long. But yeah, that's what my plan is for using this gold. So enough of that. I am going to show you guys some gameplay in the Cromwell B, but first I'm going to show you guys a quick comparison of the Cromwell B to the normal Cromwell and how the stats compare to each other. Alright, so here we are looking at the Cromwell B and the normal Cromwell side by side statistically. And these two tanks are almost identical in every single area. The damage per minute is exactly the same at 2,166 basically. The penetration of both guns is the same with 145 with AP and 202 penetration with APCR rounds. The rate of fire is the same, the reload time is the same, the alpha damage of both guns is the same. The shell velocity is the same, the ammo capacity is the same, the aim time and accuracy is the same. The Cromwell has slightly better dispersion value, soft stat dispersion value, gun handling on turret traverse, but other than that the tanks are identical with dispersion on the move and dispersion on hull traverse or tank traverse. The bloom after firing or when the gun is damaged is the same. Gun elevation is the same at 15 degrees elevation, and gun depression is the same at 8 degrees. The mobility of both tanks is actually very interesting comparing both of them. They both have the same top speed at 64 kilometers an hour, same reverse speed at 20, the same engine power, and thus since they weigh the same, they have the same horsepower to ton ratio at 23.4. But the interesting thing about the Cromwell B, which is the premium, is that it gets better terrain resistance stats, much better terrain resistance stats than the normal Cromwell. So because it has the same horsepower to ton ratio but better terrain resistance stats, this means that the Cromwell B is an actually more agile tank than the Cromwell. And not only is it more agile because it has better terrain resistance stats, but it also is a more agile tank because it has better tank traverse or hull traverse. The Cromwell B gets 50 degrees a second hull traverse, which is significantly better than the Cromwell's 36 degrees a second hull traverse. So pass your judgments as you will about Wargaming releasing premium tanks that are better than the standard tank equivalent. The armor is the same on both tanks, the HP is the same, the module HP is the same, the view range is the same at 360 meters base view range, and the camo rating on both tanks, which is actually inaccurate on this site. I don't trust Tanks GG usually isn't very accurate when it comes to the camo rating of tanks. I use Watt Info for that, but the camo rating for both tanks is exactly the same as well. So those are the stats of the Cromwell B and the Cromwell compared side by side. Let's dive into some gameplay that I have for you in the Cromwell B. Alright, so here is the game that I'm going to be showing you guys here today in my Cromwell B. We are on Halluf in a tier 8 game, so we are bottom tier. And scanning the team compositions here real quick before we start the battle. There's no artillery on either team, so that's really nice, where we won't have to worry about a vertical threat. And like I've said in my past videos about how I'm not really looking for heavy tanks, medium tanks, tank destroyers, light tanks, that kind of thing. What I'm more looking for is armor, mobility, camo rating, firepower. So scanning through the teams here, they have quite a bit of armor in their top tiers. In fact, almost all their top tier tanks are armor based. The Super Pershing is technically a medium, but it plays like a heavy. They have a little bit more mobility in their mid tiers than we do. They have an E25, a Bulldog, and an A44, whereas we have tier 7 tank destroyers and tier 7 heavies, so they definitely have more mobility in the mid tiers. And the bottom tier mobility, we outdo them a little bit. They have a couple tier 6 heavies, and we have a couple tier 6 mediums. And they have a couple more what I would call frontline tanks in their top tiers compared to us. The Borsig is not a frontline tank. Maybe late in the game you can trade your HP, but early to mid battle it is definitely not a frontline tank. Also, the Ferdinand and the AT-15 can actually brawl and should, especially when they're top tier and no arty. But given how generally players play tank destroyers, I'm not expecting these guys to be aggressive during the start of the game. So that is the quick rundown of the game. Let's just get started. So I have several options that I could do when I'm normally in a scout, which is the class that I mainly play. But since I'm in a bottom tier medium, what I first want to do is I want to go over here to the switchback here in J6 and sit in this pretty common bush here on the switchback road, and I just want to see and wait and see if the enemy commit any of their fast tanks into the draw and into the beach below me. And I will get a heads up, especially because the Chaffee on my team in front of me is going full YOLO. He's actually not spotted anything yet, probably because he's stock. You can see there that he has 400 HP, so he's stock, and he didn't spot that E25 until he's right on top of him. Has some really bad marksmanship here at the start of the game. Still not used to the shell velocity as well with the Khmelevsky. I've actually switched to APCR to try and hit the E25 on the move at range. Not for pen. I don't care at all about the pen of the APCR. The APCR has a higher shell velocity, so when you're trying to hit moving targets over distance that are moving fairly quickly, sometimes I load APCR just to make the shot easier to hit. But now that we know that the enemy haven't committed anyone over here into this draw here in H7 and G7, and they only have the Bulldog directly opposite me on this knoll, I'm committed down here into the draw. I started knocking down that building, which I will show the reason later in a moment. Once again, some really bad marksmanship on my part. Another bad shot. Sneak in a shot, but it goes a little bit high, and it wouldn't have penned anyway because I aimed it poorly. Switch back to AP there since I had the side of the SU. And another really bad shot. My marksmanship was really bad in this game, and something that I wasn't very proud of. But this is the first real big game that I've had in the Khmelevsky, so I figured I'd show it to you guys. Alright, so unfortunately we lost our VK-28-1, mostly down to my poor marksmanship not being able to land at least 3 shots into that SU. But the building that I knocked down earlier in front of this bush, you can now see why I was shooting it down. Now I have line of sight on the tank destroyers on the opposite opposing enemy ridge there in D7. And now that this Jagdpanther moved up here and he didn't spot anyone here on this rock, I know I can commit into this draw here and get up underneath the enemy ridge line right here. And if any enemy tanks want to come around and engage me if they know that I'm here, I have teammates back here lined up on our friendly ridge that can support me. And what you can do when you get up underneath the ridge, enemy ridge here, at least from this spawn, is that you can start to put pressure on the enemy back here in B3 and A3. Now, unfortunately, the enemy team have already advanced past the midpoint there in the northwest corner, that is, and they're pushing our couple heavy tanks and our T-34-3 back there. The Chaffee is flexing out and relocating. He spots me as he's relocating back down into the draw, sneak a shot into the super Pershing, and then get back into cover. Now I'm waiting for my spot to drop here. And now I'm just going to do a test peek here real quick. And I see that he's not aiming at me, so I sneak another shot in there into his back. And then I get spotted. I switched to APCR here because I'm going to need it for the KV-4. I don't have a prayer of penning the KV-4 without APCR. Unfortunately, don't anticipate his reverse, and I only track him there with the shot just before. And we're not able to sneak in another shot there. Somebody else secures the kill, so as long as the tank dies, that's a good thing. And I'm holding my fire here, not shooting the IS-6 at all, because I don't have a prayer of penning him, even with APCR, at that distance and at that angle. And unfortunately, my really bad situational awareness has... I've missed an opportunity here to do a lot of damage to the T-34 while he was engaging our AT-15 and IS-2 back here behind me. I could have put 2 or 3 shots into this T-34 while he was distracted, and now I'm paying the price for not trying to help my teammates and having really bad situational awareness. I should have engaged this T-34 about 30 seconds ago. And now I'm doing what I can to out-traverse him here, hoping I can beat his reload, and I do. By some miracle. He was probably almost reloaded, so I'm not sure if he had a bad crew or a dead loader or what, but there's actually... I actually should have died there. I had really bad situational awareness. But luckily I was able to do enough damage to the T-34, and I think my teammate, the Yig Panther, shot him once. And so I was able to kill him before he reloaded. So now, actually what I should be doing is I should be relocating back up to the ridge where this Tiger is and actually moving along the A line. But I'm kind of wasting my time here sitting in the same spot that I have been the last few minutes. It's really important to remember that whatever tank that you're playing, try to be flexible with your positioning as much as possible. Looks like this Super Pershing is AFK, so I decided to take a few shots at him here, which is actually a waste of time. I shouldn't be doing it. And then I get convicted that I'm doing something dumb, and so I stop shooting him and decide to actually shoot the active enemy tanks, which is the Chaffee and A44. So another mistake on my part, engaging an AFK tank that's not having an impact on the battle. Going for the Chaffee here, since he's a one-shot, clean up that kill. And now we're above the A44, so I have a shot on his Commander's Cupola there. He misses me, so now I know I have plenty of time to take my time and aim properly. And the Tiger on the ridge behind me secures the kill. And now you can see why I said earlier, of course I'm saying it in hindsight because I've already played the game, but I should have relocated and gone up the A line, because now I'm trapped into this bowl, something that's very common that happens in Halluf. Once you commit into this bowl, it's very difficult, this entire draw here, it's very difficult to retreat from it until your teammates clear off the enemy snipers. I was waiting to cross that draw there because I thought the I-6 was still sitting in that gap, but since the Stur Emil has crossed that gap and the I-6 is no longer there, I decided now is my opportunity to cross. And now I get the side of the Super Pershing, who is still AFK. Maybe he had a phone call or something, who knows. But we need to clean up the kill, and now I am moving to engage the last couple of enemy tanks, well now one tier 8 Soviet heavy tank, and switch to premium here for the IS-3 because it's an IS-3, and the 145 millimeters of penetration that the Khmelevsky gets with standard AP is just not going to cut it for the front of an IS-3. I could probably pen him okay from the side and definitely from the rear. He decides he wants to YOLO over and try and get the kill on me before he dies. And now we're shooting up into his lower plate, which is awesome. And I'm able to sneak the last shot in, but just before the Yig Panther, I think, comes around, and I'm able to get the kill on the IS-3. Which, if you were counting the number of kills that I was getting earlier on certain tanks, you will know that I get a certain special medal Basically, it's the medium version of the Orlick's medal. I think it's called the Oskins off the top of my head. I can't even remember now. I don't play a lot of medium tanks actually, so I'm not too familiar with the certain special rewards that are particular to that tank class. But yeah, I was able to secure the kill on the IS-3 and the T-34 and the Super Pershing, so I was able to get a Oskins medal. Recapping the game, I played really poorly here at the start, particularly with my marksmanship was very, very poor. My marksmanship on the E-25, the SU-101 was really, really bad. My engagement on the B3 area was kind of bad, and my lack of situational awareness engaging the T-34 here after my Egg Panther had wrapped around also didn't expedite the situation as well. But after that, I started to play a little bit better, and I was able to end up having a really, really good game statistically. Although, I personally think that I didn't play my best game in this particular battle. But hopefully I was able to showcase some of the attributes of the Cromwell B to you guys and let you know how it plays. It's basically quite similar to a scout tank, although it of course doesn't have near as good a view range, nor does it have the camo rating on the move, which is unique to scout tanks and light tanks. But most of the other play style of this tank is the same. It has really good mobility, pretty good agility. The dispersion on the move is quite not as good as on some other tanks, so it's not very good at firing on the move, but it has a rapid firing gun and good DPM if you can pen most of your shots. So, once again, hope you guys enjoyed watching this game. Wish you guys the best of luck out there if you own a Cromwell or a Cromwell B. Good hunting and take care.